With another decade of NHL passing, it's time to look back on the last 10 draft classes. In this video, we're going to count down the 15 worst NHL draft busts of the 2010s and expose the teams who've struggled in the NHL draft over the last 10 years. And of course, if you're not subscribed already and you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for all future videos. Number 15, Julius Honka. Taken 14th overall by the Dallas Stars in the 2014 draft, Julius Honka was believed to be a premier undersized offensive defenseman. In his draft year, he scored 56 points in 60 games for Swift Current of the WHL before immediately jumping into the AHL for the Texas Stars in the following year. In 2 full AHL seasons, Honka produced pretty well offensively, combining for over 70 points. Through 2016 and 2017, Honka split time between the NHL and the AHL, continuing his AHL scoring pace while struggling when brought up to the National League. In 2017-18, Honka appeared in a career-high 42 games for the Stars, but managed just 1 goal and 3 assists. In the following season, just last year, Honka played in only 29 games, scoring just 4 assists. In the offseason as an RFA, he neglected to re-sign with Dallas and instead headed to the Finnish League to play out the year. In the long run, the stint in Finland may eventually pay off. However, it certainly looks like his time with the Stars organization is over without much to show. Number 14, Samuel Morin. Drafted 11th overall in 2013 by the Philadelphia Flyers, Morin was selected just before the likes of Max Domi, Josh Morrissey, and Nikita Zadorov. In junior, he was a towering 6'6" defenseman without much offensive output, but his size brought him a lot of attention. After being drafted, Morin played out his remaining 2 years in the QMJHL before heading to the AHL's Lehigh Valley Phantoms. In his first 3 years of pro hockey, Morin played in just 3 NHL games with the Flyers, but remained a physical force in the Phantoms. In the 2018 AHL playoffs, Morin tore his ACL, which forced him to miss almost the entire following season. After cracking the Flyers' opening night roster this season, sadly Morin re-tore his ACL after being sent back down to the AHL. At 24 years old with 2 torn ACLs, the future for Morin's NHL career looks doubtful, but clearly injuries can be to blame. Number 13, Valeri Nichushkin. Taking just 1 spot earlier in the same draft, the Dallas Stars selected Valeri Nichushkin out of the KHL. Electing to get him out of the confusing system that is professional and junior Russian hockey, Nichushkin jumped right into the Dallas Stars lineup the following season. Clearly, this was a terrible decision. Rushing in young prospects to the league has never turned out well, and the blame here should be squarely put on the Stars organization. Although playing in 79 games and scoring a respectable 34 points, this was not the right decision for his long-term development. In his sophomore season, he suffered from hip and groin pain before eventually undergoing hip surgery, playing just 13 games across the NHL and AHL. In the last year of his rookie deal, Nichushkin once again played 79 games with the Dallas Stars, but his offensive production and ice time didn't improve. Unhappy with his role in the organization, Nichushkin decided to return to Russia and sign a 2-year deal with CSKA Moscow. After 2 mediocre seasons, he chose to return to Dallas and signed a 2-year, $5.9 million deal. In the 2018-19 season, Nichushkin skated in 57 games and recorded just 10 assists while averaging just over 11 minutes of ice time. After a massively disappointing season for the once promising forward, the Stars decided to buy out the remaining year of his contract and he went on to sign with the Colorado Avalanche. Number 12, Alexander Burmistrov. Selected 8th overall in 2010 by the Atlanta Thrashers, Alexander Burmistrov was an exceptionally skilled center. In his first North American season coming over from Russia, which was also his draft year, Burmistrov scored over a point per game for the Barrie Colts. However, following a common trend we see in these failed prospects, Burmistrov was rushed into the Thrashers lineup the following season. Appearing in 74 games, as a raw talent he obviously struggled, managing just 20 points that season. When the team relocated to Winnipeg, he remained with the NHL club, but didn't show a lot of improvement, scoring 28 points in his sophomore season. During the lockout, the Jets forced him to play in the AHL, where he should have been all along, and he actually showed the offensive potential he possessed. In 22 games with St. John's, Burmistrov recorded 11 assists, far more consistent offensive production than he displayed at the NHL level. When the NHL season began and he was brought back up, he continued to struggle with just 10 points in 44 games. With his rookie deal over, Burmistrov chose to sign with AK Bars of the KHL due to his unsatisfied role in the organization, as well as bitterness from being forced to play in the AHL during the lockout instead of back home. He attempted an NHL comeback with Winnipeg in 2015, but the results didn't really change. After minimal playing time and injuries, Burmistrov returned to the KHL after 3 seasons, where he's been ever since. Based on his projection before he was drafted, it really looks like Burmistrov could have been an exceptional offensive talent that was completely destroyed by his organization. Number 11, Olli Juolevi. The 5th overall pick in 2016, Juolevi looked like a stud on the London Knights in his first North American season after coming over from Finland. He tore up the World Juniors that year en route to winning the gold medal and being named to the tournament All-Star team, and later propelled the Knights to both an OHL and Memorial Cup championship. However, the next season he didn't take a big step forward when he returned to the OHL. His offensive numbers didn't improve, which for a two-way mobile defenseman is quite concerning in your post-draft season. In his first professional year, the Vancouver Canucks loaned him to TPS of the Finnish League for further development, rather than their AHL affiliate. This was an interesting decision and a rare one that has not been seen very often. Although it allowed him to develop in his native country, he also was not adjusting to North American ice. After 19 points in 38 games, Juolevi returned back to North America for the next season in 2018. After just 18 games in AHL Utica, where Juolevi showed great improvement with 1 goal and 12 points, he was sidelined the rest of the year with knee surgery. This season he's back in Utica with 2 goals and 23 points through 45 games. At just 21 years old, he may eventually become a depth defenseman at the NHL level, but certainly will not live up to the high offensive expectations that were placed on him after his legendary draft-eligible season and 5th overall selection. Number 10, Jakub Zboril. The Bruins' first selection of the 3 draft choices in a row back in 2015 has certainly not turned out as planned, especially when compared to his peers. Zboril was a two-way defenseman who was described as not aiming to impress through doing the little things right on the ice. He played out 2 more seasons in St. John after the draft before joining the Providence Bruins of the AHL for the 2017-18 season. He made his NHL debut in 2018 due to an injured decor in Boston, playing just 2 games before being sent back down. However, he did not seem too out of place considering his low ice time. This season he's back in Providence and has yet to been called up. At 22 years old, there's still a good chance Zboril can become an NHL regular, but he's in tough competition against his draft class, as Zach Werenski was the defenseman selected right before him, and Thomas Chabot was the defenseman taken after him. Number 9, Derrick Pouliot. The Pittsburgh Penguins' 8th overall draft choice in 2012, Derrick Pouliot was an exceptional offensive defenseman in junior and projected as a future power play quarterback with puck handling and skating ability. He would return a junior for 2 more years, cracking Canada's World Junior team and scoring 70 points from the blue line in his final season, winning a WHL championship with the Portland Winterhawks, and being named the CHL Defenseman of the Year. He started the 2014-15 season in the AHL, but was recalled in December, making his NHL debut and scoring his first goal on his first shot. He would play 34 total NHL games that year, tallying 2 goals and 5 assists, while adding 24 more points in 31 AHL games. Pouliot would split the next 2 seasons between the NHL and the AHL, however he struggled to score at the top level, recording just 7 NHL assists over that time frame. However, he did play in 2 Stanley Cup playoff games en route to their championship in 2016. In October of 2017, Pouliot was traded to Vancouver for a 4th-round pick, where he would spend 2 full seasons in the NHL and was able to find his scoring touch with more ice time and a more offensive role. This past offseason, he signed a 2-way deal with St. Louis and spent pretty much the entire season with their AHL team in San Antonio. Number 8, Brandon Gormley. Drafted 13th overall in 2010 by the Phoenix Coyotes, Brandon Gormley was a standout puck-moving defenseman. In juniors, he won a QMJHL championship, Memorial Cup, and was named as the best defenseman at the 2012 World Junior Championship. He began his pro career in 2012 in the AHL with the Portland Pirates, and wouldn't make his NHL debut until 2014, playing in 5 games for the Coyotes and going scoreless. He continued to split time the following season, recording just 2 goals and 2 assists for Phoenix. In the offseason, his RFA rights were traded to Colorado, where he once again failed to make an impact. After stops in San Antonio, Albany, and Binghamton, Gormley headed overseas to the Swedish League in 2017, where he since won the Spengler Cup for Canada, a Swedish League championship, and the Champions League. Number 7, Zach Senyshyn. The Bruins' 3rd and final selection of their trio of 2015 first-round picks, Zach Senyshyn was chosen 15th overall. Senyshyn was a good skater and a smart offensive winger, playing for Sault Ste. Marie of the OHL. In his draft year, he put up a respectable 45 points in 66 games, good but not great. He would spend the next 2 seasons back playing for the Greyhounds, where he didn't improve drastically, scoring 65 points each season and being cut from Canada's World Junior Championship team, causing major concern. He made his pro debut in 2017 with the Providence Bruins of the AHL, recording 26 points in 66 games. The following season, he once again showed no offensive improvement in his game, slightly regressing to 24 points in 66 games, but he made his NHL debut and sniped an empty netter. This season, he once again didn't crack the opening night roster and has struggled even more in the AHL. At 22 years old, Senyshyn still has time to carve out an NHL career, but it's clear he won't be that skilled scoring winger the Bruins drafted him to be. Making matters worse, the 3 players selected directly after him in that 2015 draft were Matt Barzal, Kyle Connor, and Thomas Chabot. Number 6, Duncan Siemens. In 2011, the Colorado Avalanche drafted the big, physical defenseman Duncan 11th overall. He didn't possess a lot of offensive skill and in fact regressed offensively in his final 2 years of junior hockey. He failed to make Canada's World Junior team 2 times over, another bad sign for an 11th overall pick. He made his full pro debut in the AHL in 2013, skating in 46 games and recording 1 goal and 3 assists. He tried to model his game after defensive defensemen such as Scott Stevens, however he was never able to establish himself at the NHL level. After 5 years with the organization and 20 NHL games, the Avalanche neglected to re-sign him and he signed an AHL-only deal with the Milwaukee Admirals. Number 5. Dylan McIlrath. In 2010, the New York Rangers drafted the 6'5" defenseman Dylan McIlrath 10th overall. He was projected as a physical defenseman with limited offensive upside and returned to the Moose Jaw Warriors for 2 years after being drafted. It became clear that his lack of an offensive game would hurt him at the next level as he failed to improve as he aged out of junior hockey. To make matters worse, McIlrath wasn't able to crack Canada's World Junior Championship squad. He played in his full professional season in 2012-2013 with the Hartford Wolfpack and made his NHL debut the next season, playing in 2 games with the Rangers. In the final year of his entry-level deal, McIlrath played nearly the entire season in the AHL and only made 1 NHL appearance. That offseason, he was signed to a 1-year, one-way, $600,000 extension and made the team out of training camp. However, he only played in 34 games. The following season, 2016-17, McIlrath once again received a contract extension and a raise, but had a poor training camp and was put on waivers in late October and sent to the AHL. After 4 games down there, he was traded to the Florida Panthers for Steven Kampfer. Since then, McIlrath has spent the majority of his time in the AHL with brief NHL stints and is now in the Detroit Red Wings organization. Number 4. Jack Campbell. The first and only goalie on this list, Jack Campbell is yet another example of why you don't draft a goalie in the first round unless it's an absolute lock. In 2010, the Stars took Campbell 11th overall following a good season with the U.S. development program and leading the country to gold medals at both the Under-18 tournament and the Under-20 World Junior Championship tournament. In fairness to the Stars, he absolutely dominated in his own age group. In the U18 tournament, he held a 96.5 save percentage and a 0.83 goals against average on top of being named the top goaltender at the tournament. After being drafted, Campbell headed to the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL, where he struggled to adjust. In 45 OHL games, he posted a .844 save percentage and a 3.8 goals against average. However, on the international stage, he resumed his dominance as he recorded a .941 save percentage at the World Juniors for Team USA and was named the goaltender of the tournament. He would slightly improve his OHL numbers the following season, but not drastically. He played his first professional season in the AHL with the Texas Stars, playing the whole season down there and posting a respectable .905 save percentage. He made his NHL debut in October of 2013, but showed he wasn't ready as he got shelled for 6 goals by the Ducks. It appears this NHL performance severely damaged Campbell's confidence, as he would spend the next 2 seasons bouncing between the AHL Texas Stars and the ECHL Idaho Steelheads, never playing another game for Dallas. Unable to make any progress in the Stars organization, he was traded to the LA Kings in the summer of 2016, where he's since been able to carve out some stretches as a respectable NHL backup goalie, now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 3. Dal Colle. In 2014, the New York Islanders drafted the scoring center Dal Colle 5th overall. In his draft year, Dal Colle scored 95 points in 67 games for the Oshawa Generals of the OHL and was the 3rd-ranked North American skater heading into the draft, leading the Islanders to pick the Canadian center over other top-ranked goal scorers such as William Nylander and Nikolai Ehlers. Dal Colle spent the following 2 years back playing the OHL, where he began to show signs of regression as he scored fewer points each year and was never selected to Canada's World Junior team. He began his first professional season in 2016-17, where he seemed to turn things around, scoring 41 points in 75 games in the AHL. He continued playing for the Bridgeport Sound Tigers in 2017-18, but began to regress, only putting up 24 points in 60 games, while also making his 4-game NHL debut, going pointless in the stint. Last season, he split time between the NHL and the AHL, scoring at a point-per-game pace while with the Sound Tigers, chipping in 7 points in 28 games with the Islanders. This season, he made the NHL opening night roster, but thus far has failed to make an impact, scoring just 2 goals in an Islanders jersey. At 23 years old, it's clear Dal Colle will not turn into the player they thought he was on draft day. Number 2. Griffin Reinhart. The 4th overall pick in the 2014 draft by the New York Islanders, Griffin Reinhart is now far removed from his once promising NHL career. At 6'4" and 200 pounds, he was a force in the WHL, leading the Edmonton Oil Kings to back-to-back WHL championships and a Memorial Cup championship. In his draft-eligible season, Reinhart was named the WHL Playoffs MVP with his 13 points in 21 games for the Blue Line and shutdown defensive play. His first pro season in 2014-15 was spent primarily with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers of the AHL, with an 8-game stint with the Islanders. Although a solid season for a professional rookie, the Islanders opted to trade the still highly rated prospect to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for their 16th overall pick in the 2015 draft, which turned out to be Matt Barzal. With the Oilers, he still never took a step forward. His first year with them, he split time between the NHL and AHL, recording just 1 assist in 29 Oilers games. The following year, 2016-17, Reinhart spent the entire year in Bakersfield, making no NHL appearances. That summer, he was left exposed and claimed by the Vegas Golden Knights in the expansion draft, yet failed to make the team and spent the next 2 seasons with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL. Currently, he's playing with the Kunlun Red Star of the KHL. Reinhart's failure to impact at the NHL level can be attributed to the change in pace of the league. As a shutdown defenseman with little offensive upside, his game simply could not translate to this new era of quickness and speed. Number 1. Nhl Yakupov. I've probably written about Yakupov 100 times by now, but he's very clearly the biggest bust of the decade. The number 1 overall pick in 2012 by the Oilers is just another example of failed prospects in the Edmonton system. His play in juniors really was dominant, and all signs pointed towards NHL stardom. He posted a 100-point season in the OHL prior to his draft-eligible season, and then nearly recorded a 2-point-per-game year in his draft year. His rookie year with the Oilers in the lockout-shortened season really was promising, scoring 17 goals in 48 games. However, it all went downhill from there, as he posted seasons of 11, 14, and 8 goals, all in 60-plus games played. In October of 2016, Edmonton cut the cord and traded him to the St. Louis Blues for a 3rd-round pick, where he scored 3 goals in 40 games that season. The Avalanche signed him to a 1-year, 1-more-chance deal in 2017, where he slightly improved to 16 points in 58 games. However, that would be it for his NHL career, as he's since been playing in the KHL for SKA St. Petersburg and making way more money than he would be in the NHL. Although the offensive potential was always there, the hockey sense wasn't, and after some lack of success, a decrease in confidence pretty much evaporated his effectiveness at the NHL level. So how would you guys rank this list? Who did I miss? What do you want to see me do next? Let me know all these things and more in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.